Hey everyone, it's Keela here for Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for today's video where we're doing one of the Patreon design challenges. Now it has been a little while since I have done one of these, and that is because while we were setting up the shop and moving into our new home, we actually had nowhere where I could make any bath and body products or soap products. So I had to leave the design challenge for a couple of months over on the Patreon page, and September was the first time I could actually put it back out there. I'm always working a month ahead on this challenge just to give me time to come up with the idea, make the video and get it up on here. So in September I asked my patrons to name just one color, and they could either name a generic color like red, blue, green, something like that, or they could name a specific color out of the My Micro Obsession range, because I've got most of those up on my shelf. Now I asked them to list only one color because I had the intention, without telling anyone, of drawing out 3 names to make up for the fact that I'd missed the previous 2 months. And I just kept my fingers crossed that the colors that I drew out of the hat would actually, or the soapy jug, would actually work together, and thankfully they did. I will admit this color combination was not something I would have picked myself, but it does actually work. Now one of the suggestions that came out of the jug came from Chrissy, who runs Pie White in America. She's based in Texas, and I'll leave links to her business down in the description box so you can go and check it out. She asked for me to use pink, which kind of really worked because Lee, who runs Bath Body Bliss here in Australia, and again her links are down in the description box, she asked for me to use blush, which is a pink as well. So I was actually able to pick a slightly lighter pink for Chrissy's suggestion that complemented that blush of Lee's suggestion. Now both Chrissy and Lee will be receiving a bar of this soap once it is cured. Now the third suggestion that came from Claudia. Now she does this as a hobby, doesn't have a business as of yet, and she is also based in America. Now she has asked me to donate her soap bar to a local charity or someone in need, and when my patrons ask me to do that, I always make up a little pack to also compensate for that shipping as well, because it is saving on that shipping. So I'll either put together 2 bars of soap or maybe a bar of soap and some lotion or something like that. I'll see what I've got when the soap is actually cured, and then I will take it down to one of the shelters and donate it on Claudia's behalf. Whenever I do that, I actually do put down that it has been donated by someone from the shop, just to give them that recognition. And Claudia wanted to see me use orange, and this was where I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to make pink and orange work? Now while I was thinking about that during the live on Facebook, one of my members did say, how about doing a citrus and floral fragrance? I actually couldn't find a nice citrus orange fragrance that was really singing to me, but then I remembered that I had seen over on the Scent Method page that they have a orange and peach blossom fragrance, and as I was about to place an order, I decided to get that one in, and I'm so pleased I did. Let's go and see how I make orange and peach blossom soap using those 3 colors. Let's go. Okay, so while I wait for that soap to set up enough to be able to pipe with it, I'm going to be making some peaches to go on the top of this soap as well. And I have done peaches before, and I'll leave some links for those up in the top corner of the video, but I'm just going to make some very quickly here. I have my little jeweler's scales, and what I do, I'm very rough with the weighing of each of the colors, but I still aim to get about a 2 gram size piece of soap dough on here in the end. I start off with a nice deep yellow, and then I have a little bit of a darker orange, and I just kind of add a little bit on there like that. I have a slightly paler orange, so we'll put a bit of that on there. That's probably just a little bit too much. That's perfect. And then just to finish it off, I also have a little bit of red soap dough here too, and I'm taking this up, as I said, till it gets to about to be 2 grams. And once I've got that, I start with my yellow piece first so we don't get too mushed up. I just condition it up a little bit, and then I kind of mush in these other colors around that yellow. I know I've completely destroyed that round piece I had, but this just works for me. Once I've got it like that, I'm just gonna squish them together just to start getting those colors all melded together. And I find doing it this way, you just get that really nice smooth color through it. So you can see we're starting to get the nice colors you'll see in a really good ripe peach. I'm going to give it a little bit of a roll. I'm not very good at rolling balls some days, but we're going to get it into a little ball shape. You can see now we've got that sort of speckled look. All peaches, when you look at them, they kind of have those hues of yellow, red and orange through them, and they're kind of, you know, as they go in, they kind of meld in the colors into each other. So I'm really happy with how that is looking, happy with the sort of shape that it is too. I'm just going to grab a little ball shaped tool here, and I'm going to poke a hole in the top and just kind of bring my ball down the side and start to make that sort of classic little dint that you get in the top of peaches. I'm going to do the same to this side as well. Just give it a bit of a squish so that it's not too sharp on those edges, looks a little bit more natural. And there is our little peach with the little hole in the top. Now to finish it off, I'm just going to get a little bit of brown soap dough here, and we literally only need a small amount. Just going to roll up just a little bit to create a stem, and just stick that into the little hole that we made, and there we have the top of our peach. So I've got 18 of these to make, and hopefully by the time I've made them all, we will be ready to pipe some flowers for the top of this one. Alright, so our soap has now set up firm enough to be able to pipe with, and into my piping bag I've got a 103 Wilton petal tip, which is kind of like this little teardrop shaped one, and I'm going to be piping so that the thinner end of my piping tip is always going to be pointing outwards, and the thicker end will be pointing into what would be the center of the flower. I'm going to start by putting a little bit of soap onto my flower nail here, and then I'm just going to pick up a piece of pre-cut greaseproof paper. Now to do these, I'm just going to do a very basic 5-petal flower, and I start by kind of having my piping bag on a slight angle, and as I start squeezing the bag and the soap starts coming out, I push my bag up and bring it back down to make a bit of a C, and at the same time I turn the flower nail in my hand. Now it can get a little bit tricky, and it does take a little bit of practice, because a lot of people are tempted to actually move the bag, and it just doesn't work when you try moving the bag. You need to be twisting your nail all the time. So I find the easiest way is to anchor my elbow onto the table, and then I actually can't move the piping bag backwards or forwards. I can only kind of do that little C shape, which gives the shape of our little petals. So I'm just going to make 5 of those like that. And then in that other bag we've got that darker pink, and I've got just a very small, it's like a tiny little star tip, but sometimes I just use a round tip as well, but I thought we'll go star tip this time. And I'm just going to pop in 3 little dots into the center of that one there. Now that I've done that, I'm going to take it off the nail and pop it onto my tray, and then I haven't quite got enough soap on there. So let's pop a little bit more on. I'm going to grab another piece of paper. Before I do this one, what I'm going to do to make this bag easier to use, I am actually going to trim down all of this excess that I don't need so it doesn't fall into my flowers and ruin them. So I'll pop that to one side. All right, now we'll grab our piping bag. It's good to have a nice even pressure up the top here because that really helps with the flow of the soap coming out. So again, we've got our greaseproof paper. I've got the narrow end pointing away from me to be the outside of the petal. And as I put my piping bag down and I start squeezing, I'm going to make a little C shape and twist the flower nail at the same time. And that's what creates the shape of our petals. And then depending upon what angle you have your piping bag will depend at what angle that the petals actually sit as well. If you have your piping bag flatter, you're going to end up with a much flatter flower, and if you bring it up, that's when you get these nice raised little petals. So let's pop our little centers in there, take it off our nail, and then we're going to grab another piece of paper. I do still have enough soap on that one. Let's do that again. And then it just becomes a little repetitive exercise. So if I do this one so that my piping tip sits a lot flatter against the piping nail here, you can see my petals end up a lot flatter than what they did on the other one. So I like to do lots of different styles, hold my piping bag in different ways to get different looks on the flowers. Some will look more open than others, but I'm just going to keep going with this, and then once we've got all of our flowers done up, I've got all the peaches done, we will be able to get on with making the soap. Alright, we are ready to start making this soap, and as you can see, we've got the new camera angle. When I did these sort of angles with the new tripod in the vlog, a lot of you said that you actually really liked this angle, and this one actually really does work much better for me as well. It is much easier to work. I don't have to worry about knocking the camera. I can actually see the screen to make sure that I'm in view and stuff like that. So we're going to give this one a go on here. It might take me a little while to get that absolute perfect angle so you can capture everything, because I know if I'm lifting my hand too high, you don't get to see. I don't know if moving down there is any better. We will work with it. Now, I have come into the shop early to make this soap, and like any time I try and get myself nice and prepared, my neighbours have got their music turned up, and I know so many of you say that you don't worry, it doesn't matter, that you don't mind hearing that background noise. I do. I hate hearing background noise on other people's videos that aren't appropriate to the video. And the other thing is, because I've got the music up quite loud, if YouTube can detect that music, I get a violation for having licensed music in my videos. So I have to be really, really careful about it. But we're going to forge ahead and get this one done. I have just poured my lye water in. We're going to give it a mix, and then we'll split it up for the colours. Now, usually the girls next door, if I do come into the shop early to get work done, music is usually quite loud, and it's not offensive, it is just loud. But once they know that I'm open, they do generally turn it back down again. But you can also hear all the giggles, which is a lot of fun really coming from next door. So it's not a bad thing, and they are quite respectful of it as well. Not like when I was in my previous shop and I used to have to actually go and ask on a regular basis if they could turn the music down. Anyhow, let's get off that high horse there. Let's separate out for some colours. So in this one here, I'm using a Nurture Soap flower Flower Girl as my pink. It's sort of like a bit lighter pink than the blush, and this is the pink that I used for my flowers, and we're going to do some swirls with the pinks. We'll go for that much in there. In this jug here I have the blush mica, which is one of the My Micro Obsession, sold by Heirloom, and we're going to pour off some of that for a swirl as well. We'll just have pink swirls going through. Now I am going to add 2 other colors into this, because without these colors it's just going to not make too much sense. I have a little bit of mocha brown on this one, and I'm literally pouring off just a tiny amount. I need a little bit more. That should do, because what I want to do on the top of the soap is pipe some little tree branches to put our little cherry blossoms, so I might just need a bit more of that one. And then in here I have got, what did we go for? Let's have a look. I went for some lime spider. Did I really? Okay, I went for some lime spider green, and again I'm just pouring off a small amount, not too much, because we're going to pipe some leaves to go on the top. Look at all those drips. All right, I haven't even got my cloth out here. All right, into my pot I'm going to put my orange, and I'm going to be using Orange Pop. It's one of my favorite ones in the orange range. I actually only have 3 oranges on my shelf. I really should get some more, but I always go for this Orange Pop. I'm only going to put a small amount in here because I don't want this to be a bright, vibrant orange. I want it to complement those pinks, so I want to kind of go for that more paler color. Often when I do these color challenges, I do say that I will use black and white in it as well if I think it's appropriate. So if this is too dark, I will add some titanium dioxide. But let's get it all mixed in. Alright, so I'm actually quite pleased with how that orange has come up. I'm not going to add any titanium dioxide into it. It has come up that nice sort of pale colour, and I think that pink's going to really complement it with those drops. Kind of represents the orange and also a little bit of peach, because peaches do have that bit of orange in them. Now here is my fragrance oil. It is very yellow in colour, so hopefully it's not going to affect anything too much. So we're going to pour it into all of the colours. Hopefully it behaves. It is a sweet one, so generally I find the sweet ones do behave a bit better, but it's got a really funky colour in there. Let's just hope for the best and see what happens. Oh, it does smell really good. That peach has really shone through on this. And it's funny because I've had orange and peach blossom from other suppliers, and it smells more like neroli, which is orange blossoms, whereas this one just smells very much like those peach lollies that you can get, those peaches and creams lollies. It's really nice, and so far it's playing nice as well, so that's always a good thing. We might get some beautiful drops going through here. It is very much so thinned that out, so I wonder what sort of drops we're going to head for. But you might swap my spatula. Let's go for the smaller one so we can mix this a bit better without throwing soap everywhere. Alright, we are going to grab the mold. Let's put it so you guys can see it. That's one of the things I do like about this particular angle. A lot of you said that you liked this angle because you could see what I was doing, could see the pour as well. This is thickening up, so we should get some beautiful drops. It's thickening up very fast actually, so let's stop talking, get it in here. Now it is a little bit thicker than what I was intending, so I don't think I'm going to get too much of a swirl from that. So just grab my little hanger and I'm just going to put a couple of little swirls through just to see if we can get just that little bit of extra movement. I do like my soaps to have a bit of swirl. And let's finish scooping out this bucket. Alright, now my brown and green is still really fluid, way too fluid for piping. So I'm going to have to leave it sit here for a little while before I can do that. Now by the time I do come back to do the piping, I will have my shop open, so I won't really be able to do much talking. I'll just be doing the actual filming of me decorating the top, because if I do talking, I have to turn the music off in my shop, and then if anyone walks in through the door, it just doesn't have that right vibe. There's nothing worse than walking into a shop that has no music. I hate going to restaurants that won't even buy their music license. It's just, I know, it just feels so weird to go into them. Anyhow, so what I'm going to do is leave these sit here to firm up, because as you can see, that is just too fluid to pipe any form of leaf. Once it's set up, I'm going to pour my green into this piping bag, which has a little leaf tip, and then I'm going to pour my brown into another piping bag which just has a small round open end. We'll pipe some branches onto our soaps. We'll pop on our little flowers and our peaches, and then decorate it up with a few leaves, and then once it's done, I'll bring you down for that closer look. Orange and peach blossom is in the mold, and I'm loving how this one is looking. It's been a while since I've made a soap like this, and I've really enjoyed it. I love how those little peaches are just sitting nestled amongst those flowers. I know they're out of proportion, but it's art, so we can do whatever we like. That green will come back to a beautiful bright green as this saponifies, and we'll have a look at that in just a moment when we come back and cut it and see what swirls we've got on the inside. Alright, it is the next day and we are ready to cut into our peach and orange blossom soap, and it is looking so pretty. I love the shade of orange this has gone. The scent, it still smells really nice, but it's not nearly as peachy as it was when I first poured it in, but that could change as it sits and cures on the rack, because sometimes they do. I'm going to get this one lined up so we've got our nice lens, and hopefully we won't cut any of the peaches. I am expecting to cut the flowers, I just didn't want to cut the peaches. There have been a couple of little casualties, but that is okay. I must have needed to turn my my soap around in my cutter. Some of my wires aren't quite 2.5, so if I don't get it in the right way, I still lose those markings. But anyhow, it's not too much of a drama. There is the inside and the top. I love the little peach on the top of them, and we've got just enough flour. So that's the end piece. The end piece has always got some more drops than it has swirls, but that looks really, really pretty on that side. And you can see what I mean. I have actually cut some of my peaches, but still looking really, really nice there. There is the next piece. We're starting to get a few more swirls as we move down. Really like how the colors have come together. When I first pulled the colors out, I will admit I'm thinking, how on earth am I going to get orange and pink to work together. They're just not colors I would have automatically put together. But that's why I actually like doing this design challenge, because it makes me think about things that I probably wouldn't have done myself ordinarily, and it just actually works when you give it a go. So really pleased with how it has turned out. That one's got a few less flowers on it, but it does still have a little peach. This one's got lots of flowers. There's another one there. Love the swirls in there. It's just so wispy, but really pleased with how this one turned out. Thank you so much for coming along with me as I made the orange and peach blossom soap. If you enjoyed watching, why not leave me a thumbs up and any comments down below. And until the next video comes out, I hope you have a good one, and I will see you then. Bye.